weeks out from the feast of the Nativity of our Lord, and we hear stereotypically around this time this gospel passage of this healing of this blind man. And as I am wont to say, that Jesus heals the blind man should come as practically no surprise. When someone who is ill is brought to him, they invariably leave healed. But we hear a little bit more about him and about this scene. And Luke is often very, very good about setting the details of the scene. And so we hear about this crowd and how this blind man is crying out, and how the folks in the crowd are trying to shush him. They're trying to shut him up, to shut him down. Interesting how those phrases mean the same thing. To shut someone up and to shut someone down. We'll have to think about that. And so, but he doesn't. He perseveres, and if anything, he becomes more insistent. He becomes louder and louder and louder again. Think about when the priest cries out at Holy God, Holy Mighty One, with a mightier voice. He's telling you, sing it louder. The Greek there is actually the word dynamis. And dynamis is related to another word we might recognize immediately, dynamite. And it's kind of explode. Let this well out and just, fill everything. And it's this same concept here, this idea of, letting our needs be heard, letting our praise be heard, letting our thanksgiving be heard before God. There's this certain sense here too of a need for perseverance. There's because he has not managed to draw the attention, seemingly, of Christ the first time he cries out, and everyone is trying to shush him, but he doesn't give up. He keeps at it. Everyone is telling him to be quiet, and he goes louder. He does exactly the opposite of what everyone else is telling him. And in a certain sense, that's where we who want to try to follow Christ ever more closely find ourselves in this present age. We're in a time where a lot of the traditional supports for a life of faith are gone. Our society doesn't support us. In fact, our society supports the exact opposite. And so if we want to live a life of faith, if we want to call Christ into our lives, we have to ignore the crowd who's telling us to don't talk about these things. Don't bother Christ. Shush, be quiet. Just let everything he's passing by, just let him go. And if we want Christ in our life, we can't go along with that crowd. We're going to have to cry out. And in a certain sense, we're going to have to cry out more. We're going to have to cry out louder than we ever have before. We're going to have to persevere. We're going to need strength. We're going to need patience. This blind man, we have no idea how old this blind man is. We're not told in this case whether he has been blind since birth or whether blindness has come upon him during the course of his life. But however long or short his illness might have been, I'm sure to him it felt like an infinity, sitting by the side of the road, hoping that there would be enough coins or enough crumbs to keep him going for another day. And now he finds a chance. Now he finds this man he's heard everything about in his midst. each and every one of us had that same mindset. Would that we had that same sense of the needfulness of this one opportunity that presents itself for Christ to enter into my life and heal me. Would that we had the same devotion. Would that we had the same courage. Would that we had the same prayerful plea to Christ. It's hard sometimes. It can be very hard. We don't like to admit to ourselves, let alone anyone else, where our faults are. We like to think either everything's perfect, or in a lovely quote that is often repeated in these latter days, that's just the way I am. Well, you know what? Every one of us can be better. Whether it's in ways that are huge or in ways that are small, every one of us can be better. And we need to have the courage to examine ourselves honestly, humbly, courageously, to recognize those faults and to invite Christ in to heal them, to restore us to who and what we were meant to be from all time. That takes courage. It takes humility. It takes perseverance. It takes patience. And in a certain sense, it takes ignoring the world around us that is constantly telling us everything's fine, just you be you. Well, yes, but you know what? We also have to be Christ. We're called, just as Mary brings Christ into the world in a unique way in this feast that we are preparing ourselves to celebrate, so each and every one of us as baptized followers of Christ is called in our own way to manifest that Christ to the world through the example of our lives. To Jesus Christ be glory, both now and ever.